I just wanted to, sorry to ask a very basic question. My apologies for this, but when I'm focusing in the middle of my eyebrows, on my forehead, am I watching that bit as well, or am I watching straight?
You are just supposed to watch straight. Do not imagine the position.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to check with you. Thank you. Because I was trying to watch that portion and I thought I had to imagine my forehead, but I just have to focus there and watch straight. Okay. Thank you.
Actually, on that, Babaji, people too often get confused. What are they watching? Are they watching in between the eyebrows, or are they watching the thoughts?
Though we tell in the beginning of instructions, just watch in between, focusing the attention in between eyebrows. But eventually they also realize when they watch, they are also asked not to imagine anything. Even if you watch in between eyebrows or just watch straight, do not imagine that you are watching the in between eyebrows or that place or any such thing. When that thing happens, the mind gradually loses its imagination and starts receding towards introvert. So that's what needs to be happen, quietening the mind. Thus it becomes slowly and slowly silent on its own without getting stopped at any anchor. So then going introvert becomes very easier, and slowly it becomes aware of the self eventually.
Suresh, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, I have another one, if I may. Thank you very much for clarifying that. I'm glad you brought that up, Michael, because that sort of was also bothering me a little bit. The other question, Babaji, is you often talk about the duality of life, about good and bad. And in context with that, I was just wanting to ask you about happiness, because everybody wants to be happy in life. But is there any point in pursuing happiness? Because by the nature of duality, if you pursue happiness, you're bound to be unhappy later on. So should we just forget about happiness?
No, you have a right to be happy. That is your existence right. But the thing is, you need to know the path, the right technique, how you can be happy at all times without getting involved into the dualities. The problem is, you try to imagine your happiness in the objects of this world. These objects of this world are all impermanent. Sometimes they may give happiness, sometimes they may give unhappiness. If you imagine that you want to have a particular object, if you get it, you are happy. If you don't get it, you are unhappy. Even if you get it, then you might be worried that one day it might go away, so you become unhappy. So the spirituality teaches, forget about this getting happiness from this world, because a certain thing which itself is impermanent, including your own physical body, how can it give you a permanent happiness? So if you go to the permanent existence, that is you as the immortal soul, if you can become aware of that, if you can settle down to that, then you can obtain a permanent happiness. Also, I have told in my answers and teachings, if you remember, the mind does not stop anywhere in the world. You try to give it the whole world, whole universe, it won't stop and it won't get satisfied. It will start craving for further and further. Like that it happens, because it is looking for the same happiness that which it had enjoyed by remaining in the self. So you have to go back to the self. That's what this meditation helps you precisely.
So does that take you away from the duality?
Yes, you have to rise above the duality. Because if you call this world very good also, you get involved mentally. And if you call this world as very bad, you get involved mentally. And this world appears to you based on your mental attitude. That's why we call one man's food is another man's poison. A certain thing might be giving happier to one, another might be getting happier from somewhere else. Like sitting with a saint might be happy to some people, and to some it may be very torturous. Even if they are forced to come in the presence of a saint, they would like to get up as soon as possible and go away. So this is how this mind plays into the duality. You have to rise above this level. Meditation neutralizes the mind and helps you to rise above.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Namaste, Babaji. I have two questions. The first is one advice for me: if it is better to me to remain in the place where I am, in the job where I am, or if a change will be good for my sadhana practice till I will be able to travel. I don't know if it is better to remain or to leave.
You see, this is a personal choice. Generally, my guru always taught that you must not ask this to a guru. A guru will guide wherever you are, whether you are working, whether you are traveling. It is important to remain determined, disciplined, and having patience and practice. Taking out time, at least 1 hour in the 24 hours, is your job. That you must do that one, wherever you are. Otherwise, you might simply get carried away. Today you want to have one job, tomorrow you want to travel, again you feel tired and you don't have money, you want to get into another job. Like that you will be confusing yourself. So stay into one type of life, whichever one suits you, you choose it. If you need money, you have to work. If you don't need money, how will you travel? So that is also a problem. So you get involved trying to sort out one problem, you get involved into another problem. So instead of this, wherever you are, take out 1 hour, sit for meditation and practice. You can find your real self anywhere that you are.
Thank you. And the next is if you can comment about the Mahasamadhi of Swamiji, because Swamiji was in Mahasamadhi when he was in Yoga Nidra state, and what this means.
You see, he went into Yoga Nidra is the imagination of some of the devotees. They tried to explain. He went into Yoga Nidra. Swamiji never told that I am going to Yoga Nidra. He just became quiet. Because he had practiced the 12-year tapas, he went into Mahasamadhi. That does not mean that he has gone away from us. If you worship him, if you remember him, he is the divine now. He can come back to you as Shiva Balayogi, bless you, grace upon you. So that is what is important. So any terminology. Finally, you use either Yoga Nidra or Mahasamadhi. To Swamiji, it doesn't make any difference. He is in itself. He is in himself. So that's what. You have to have that devotion and faith and pray to Swamiji, then you will receive blessings.
Pranam Babaji. So my question is Kundalini required for self-realization, or is it a transient illusion?
It automatically happens. I will explain to you what Kundalini is. There are a lot of misconceptions about this. Just like you have a mind. The mind's another portion, infinity, which has gone into the body, has been called as Kundalini, coiled energetic force. The imagination which has gone into universe, you call it as your mind. So actually mind and Kundalini are same, but compared to mind, Kundalini is weak. Mind is more stronger, which is spread in universe into billions of layers with imagination. So a seeker is always advised to control and bring back the mind first. When the mind comes here, 100% when you are able to concentrate, it lifts the Kundalini, body consciousness. That's what in simpler terms Kundalini is. That also gets lifted. They both, mind and Kundalini, become one, then get detached from the brain, and a seeker feels as if he is here at that stage. That is why this is known as Sahasrara Kamala, means symbolically now the mind is blossomed, purified totally, ready to go to Samadhi. So that is what really happened. So seeker has to bother to control the mind. Without detachment, vairagya, mind does not come back. So kundalini automatically comes up.
Thank you. And just one small question can be asked. It's easy for me to go into silence and get quiet in nature with trees, birds. But when I come inside my room in seclusion, it's not that easy. It's easier in nature.
Wherever you find easier, so you can try to do that one. You can do a karma yoga or wherever the atmosphere appeals. You can try to practice a meditation also in the nature. So you can do that one. There is no restriction that you have to sit in a room itself. Wherever it is appealing to you, you can practice.
So by enjoying the birds and nature, am I not being a slave of my senses, or it's okay?
As long as your mind does not analyze or get involved by judgments. And also, it is advised not to depend on any one particular object of this world, whether room or whether birds or anything. Eventually, you have to practice so that wherever you go, in whichever atmosphere you are there, your mind needs to recede and become quiet. But in the beginning, you can take help of the nature and birds if it appeals to you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Baba, good to see you. Thank you for being with us today. Always a great blessing. I have a question about the nature of pain. So last year, my wife passed away, and the whole experience has been very painful. This past year has been difficult. So that's emotional pain. And then it's morning here. So I got up this morning and I meditated for an hour and then came onto the Zoom another hour and then another hour after that. So by the tail end of this 3 hours, my body's a little sore. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the purpose of pain in the life of a meditator. Thank you.
See, one thing, physical suffering happens because physical body has its own limitations. Just like for 3 hours sitting in a physical body could be painful. We can understand because body has its own limitations. But mind is above the body. Mind has no limitation. If you can practice to keep mind more positive, enthusiastic, just like a soldier. Swamiji used to tell my guru this example often. So a soldier, even if he is hit with bullets, he knows that he is going to die in the next moment. But before that, he would like to continue doing his duty of shooting at the enemy without losing that determination, that enthusiasm. So that's what is important. I know the physical pain could be there. If you can, if a guru appeals to you like me, if I'm sitting in front of you and meditating can appeal to you, so you remain determined, be enthusiastic, concentrate your mind's energies on the concentrating of the focusing in between eyebrows. Then at least during that time, you won't feel the pain. You can overcome the suffering mentally when you are enthusiastic. If you allow the mind to become a victim, then you get defeated by yourself. So you need to win over yourself to achieve something that is important. Never mind, bodily we will all die one day, but we will not give up till the last moment of our life.
Oh, thank you so much, Babaji. Thank you.
Hi, Babaji. I've got 2 questions. My first one, probably a basic question really, but is meditation good for both our physical and our mental health? Is it sort of therapeutic?
Definitely, because mentally you gain tremendous confidence within you. With that confidence, you can overcome the weakness of the body like an enthusiastic soldier, just for the previous question I was talking about. So, thus, meditation can be very helpful for you to overcome the physical troubles also. Until the last breath of life, you would like to do it and you would like to achieve, it will give you that determination. So, meditation definitely helps physically and mentally.
Okay, thank you. My other question was really about, you talked in the past about space and energy. So my question is really about the effect of meditation on the energies that we sort of experience normally. So does sort of meditation transform the energies that we have in our bodies, in our minds, or does it bring us to experience different energies?
Yeah, just now, due to the operation of mind being creative and that mind going into such creation, imagination, losing control over itself, when you practice meditation, you bring the mind under control. With the mind under control, both consciousness and energy becomes concentrated. It will remain focused. Just like, for example, you have $10,000, so you have dropped $1 each everywhere. And when you need it, it becomes so difficult for you to collect all that $10,000. Instead, you collect all that $10,000 and keep it at one place. So whenever you need to use, you can use all the 10,000. That is how the mental energy, consciousness and energy works. When you practice meditation, you are gathering everything to remain together as a single pointedness. So whenever you need to use to live in this world, you can apply brains like a genius. And you can gain the awareness of the real self also eventually.
Thank you.
Babaji, you talk about acceptance, and you said that if the divine gives you sweets, you accept that. If the divine gives you a slap, you should accept that also in the same way. And that can be difficult to do if you're being slapped particularly hard. So I was wondering if you could talk a little more about that, about acceptance.
You see, acceptance, you have to overcome imagination and have the higher imagination. Whatever the divine gives you the best. Then you won't be imagining he is giving sweets or he is giving slap. You won't have that imagination. When you have the dual imagination, sweets as sweets, then you start enjoying the sweets. You are unable to enjoy the slap. If a slap comes, if you consider the divine as your own, like when Swamiji scolded us, we considered him as our own mother, father, and we became happy that he also considers me as his own. That's why he is scolding. So that scolding became so sweet and beautiful. It made us to smile also sometimes, and we used to get more scoldings. That's another thing. But mentally we never suffered that he was scolding and he was unhappy with us. No such imaginations came at all. So that imagination needs to be raised to a higher level and neutralize it. So he is doing the best to us. What he is doing doesn't matter. He is doing the best to us. This has to come in the mind. That is how mentally you surrender to the divine, and then you will always get the best.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Babaji.
So Babaji, on that, if I may, that acceptance, is it necessary to have a sense of security to be able to have that sense of acceptance?
Definitely. If you have the sense of insecurity, acceptance doesn't come. The mind starts analyzing, oh, why did he slap? Oh, this is very bad. He should not have slapped. He must have given only sweets. Like that, the discrimination of the mind starts analyzing and making judgments in its own way. Then it tries to analyze and make a judgment about the divine also. So thus, it defeats itself in surrendering. So surrender doesn't happen. So it is essential that to have the highest imagination. So whatever he is doing for our best. Even if he cuts our head, cuts us into pieces and throw us, he is doing the best. Probably he is giving us the best. Finally, that ultimate truth is indestructible and it is immortal.
Pranam Babaji. Could you tell us a little bit more about giving up the fruits of actions in daily life, please?
I understand it's not very easy. Without expecting a fruit, a person may not like to act upon at all. But you need to assure yourself. So the master has ordered, we need to do this as a duty. Suppose you have accepted a way of life. You are married and you might have children, or you might have some other duties. While doing all this, while looking after your wife, looking after children, and doing any other type of duty, you do it as if you are doing it to the God, to divine. So then you will feel very satisfied that you are simply doing your duty. And after that, whatever happens, it's not in your hands. It's the divine's wishes. Thus, you start accepting that one. I have done my duty. In spite of that, also if it has happened like this, maybe the divine has got better things in his store for us. Like that, you imagine better things. You elevate yourself into actual acceptance and surrender.
Thank you.
My question is about forgiveness. So like I miss meditation like all the time. Like I just pretty much do it on Saturday nights when we have this class. And then like I start like judging myself throughout the week for being like, like lazy, selfish, like I'm a bad person and stuff. And then like, so like, how do we get around that? Like, because I feel like judging ourselves just makes things worse.
Mentally becoming strong and determined is very important. That is why Shri Krishna, talking in Bhagavad Gita, among millions, one really feels inspired to go on this path. Among such millions who feel inspired, one really tries to go on the path. Trying to go on the path is important. And one really achieves, one amongst the millions really achieves. That remaining determined, remaining disciplined, and not to give up is important. It's your free will. You must exercise your willpower, taking the blessings of the divine Guru. So if you become lazy, no God can help you. You must not become lazy under any circumstances at any cost. It is your job to become active and try. Then God will grace upon you, bless you.
Pranams, Babaji, Namaste.
Yeah.
My question is regarding destiny and free will. You see, I often have regrets about what happened in the past and a lot of remorse and feel depressed about it. I take consolation in the thought that life could not have been any other way, that it had to happen this way. Is that correct?
You see, often people get confused about this destiny and free will. So what our Guru taught, when you have to try and work out, at that time, just do bother about your duty, do not bother about destiny. After you trying, after you have put in work, action, then when the result comes, accept it as destiny. Because every time the result may not be according to your expectation. It may be something else. It is not in your hands. When things are not in your hand, accept it as destiny. So this is how you have to go. But without putting efforts, you must not think whatever is in destiny that will happen. Put in efforts, whatever you want to achieve. Then when the result comes, accept it as destiny. That's what has to happen. You see, there is another point which may not be conclusive, though, what we observed in our tapas sadhana. Like when your mind just now, if it is 10% potency, its strength is, every life mind gets diluted due to its imagination. It gets split and split and split. Suppose this mind in previous lives, when it was with its 100,000 potency, then whatever it would have resolved would have become destiny for this 10% potency mind. That's how you get to see things. Whatever you would have resolved, the more your mind becomes concentrated, at that time there is a risk factor. If you imagine, that means if you resolve, you may get to see such things happening. That's why it is important you have to rise above dualities and practice meditation. Then eventually you will overcome all the effects of free will and destiny both. You just work whatever you want and let it happen. Whatever it happens, accept it as the divine's will. Then you will have peace. This is how you have to go with the destiny and free will.
Guruji, my question is more about the past. What has already happened? Could I look at it as it could not have been any other way? It had to happen this way.
You see, the past is meant so that you just learn lessons. If you had committed any mistake, past is not going to come back. So do not allow your mind to brood about the past. Just learn if you can learn. So it has happened, it has happened. You couldn't help it, it's over. So you accept it and just look for the future. Plan in the present and work out in the present. So that's how you have to go.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hi, Babaji. This is all psychology, I know, but there's the me right now, and it's a totally different me who I don't even recognize, and other people like me, except for me, and then there's the child who was, beaten, abused, hated, and so she keeps on cropping up, and I constantly have conflict in my head with the soul that was my mother. And I know, of course, it was destiny to be born to her and karma, but I'm really trying very hard to transform her, although I feel totally transformed in my daily life, but she's back there. And it's very hard for me to, I don't know, to like myself. I'm constantly being judged by myself.
You are not very clear in your question. However,
I know
you and the other different. You see, presently you can transform yourself by practicing meditation and by remaining positive. Look for the future and work out in the present. The past, do not brood about the past. You learn lessons. If it had happened either to you or to anybody, you could not help it. It is not going to come back. But you can shape your future in a better way if you work out in the present. For that only you have to meditate so that you overcome all confusions and just make yourself more stronger mentally. That is what is advised. You can transform yourself now. You may not be able to transform anybody else, the world or the past or any such thing. But you can transform your future, your present when you work out.
Okay. So my mother, who's passed on, thank God, she can't have any more control over me, can she?
No. It is your own.
I have to.
Your own imagination. You don't have to bother about that. She will undergo her own imagination, her own world, until she is unable to make her mind quiet. So just now, do not have to worry about that. You have to worry about your own imaginations, which might be troubling you unnecessarily. Meditate and overcome all such imaginations and try to gain over the truth of your own existence.
Takes a lot of courage and bravery. All right. Thank you.
Necessary.
So on that, Babaji, we're told many times, forgive and forget. Is it always the right thing to forgive and forget, or are there times when we should and times when we shouldn't?
You see, forgiveness is important for your mind's peace. You have a right to defend yourself. If in the past something has happened, so you have to look for a future so that you remain unaffected by a brooding. For that purpose only, you need to forgive the personality. If presently the same person is still troubling you, you have a right to defend yourself. Forgiveness does not mean that you keep quiet whatever happens to you. If it is something is happened to you in the present, defend yourself. There the question of forgiving, unforgiving doesn't happen at all. You just defend yourself. That's why the definition changes. But do not give rise to brooding in the mind about a past. That person is not there, you are somewhere else, something would have happened to you, injustice or anything. If you keep brooding, you become casualty in your mind. For that purpose only, forget and forgive is taught. That you have to understand. There might be a thin edge of difference between the two things, defending yourself and forgiving the other. If somebody comes to slap you now, don't leave him, defend yourself. Don't allow him to slap you, defend yourself. Here, the forgiving or forgetting doesn't come to picture. It is defending yourself. But in the past something had happened, forget about it. It's over. It's not going to come back under any circumstances.
Thank you, Babaji.
Babaji, so can you please repeat the two things you said that I have to remember, while I'm on the path? What was strong mind and determination?
Yeah, determination and remaining disciplined, not to be lazy is important when you have to meditate.
Yeah.
Remember always the meditation will help you. So you just don't be lazy. If you are lazy, you are responsible. Don't blame anybody else. Then you will not be lazy. You are remain disciplined. Then you will achieve. It will come to you. Because it is you who have to achieve. If somebody else meditates, it is for them. If you don't meditate, you cannot achieve. That's what I was trying to tell. Got it?
Okay. And when I have a bad habits, I have certain bad habits, right? And then I just don't know how to stop them. I know I'm supposed to stop and not do it, but how do I get rid of bad habits? Because then I judge other people with the exact same habits. It might be more severe, but I'm still a hypocrite. So how do I stop being a hypocrite in that way? And
you see, you must always realize or remember that any bad habits will hurt you first. You are the first casualty. Your mind can be the first casualty before you might trouble others or try to spoil anybody else. So you must not have any bad habits. So you remain determined like this. Then side by side, simultaneously practice meditation also. Thus your mind becomes more stronger, your willpower increases. You will always think, no, I must not have this bad habit. This is wrong. I am hurting myself. There is no point in troubling myself. Why should I? So like this you think and remain determined. Then you can overcome.
Okay. Thanks, Babaji.
Oh, what is your reaction to the teaching, turn the other cheek?
I don't teach like that one, turn the other cheek. So don't allow anybody to slap on the first cheek itself. Defend yourself. Otherwise, in this world, today's world, people will take it granted and they will go on breaking your head. You have a right to defend yourself. At least you must do the hissing noise. Don't be too mild to this world. That is important. That's what our master taught us.
Thank you.